Perfect, perfect. And thank you for that that beautiful introduction. It's funny when you hear someone say those sorts of things about you. It doesn't quite always seem like it's you that's being spoken about. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to rack up a few achievements in my years. About 26 years as an educator, and I might even just jump to my first little slide, just to give you a little snapshot about me. And in that introduction, you would have heard that talk there, that mention of Aussie Ed. A lot of teachers, a lot of connected educators probably may already know me or know who I am. Aussie Ed itself was a group that I started probably almost about 10 years ago now. It was when we first had these fancy things, portable devices, start coming into the school system, and there wasn't really the established professional development to be able to go through and learn from each other. So I reached out online so we could start to learn collaboratively with international educators and across systems and across state lines, and break a lot of those silos and those boundaries that we normally have to work in within education. And to my surprise and great joy, Aussie Ed grew to be the largest online network of teachers across Australia. So that was very fantastic, very successful. And I learned I have a little bit of a passion for building community and nurturing community. So you can see there are a few other little hashtags or a few other little groups. We've got, I might even make that a little bit bigger for you. The Ed Poet Society. I love my language. I love poetry. So started up a group called the Ed Poet Society with teachers that are passionate about the use of language to talk and dissect and be very cutting sometimes about different issues and topics that are prevalent within the education industry. And then during the pandemic even started a group there called the Walking Ed. Now, the Walking Ed was a wellbeing group. So educators across Australia and internationally could get together during the pandemic and work with each other. Now, I might just pause if I can see that your video cut. Could someone just let me know if you can still hear me, or if I should pause for a moment? Are you able to hear me still? I'm not sure. I'm not quite hearing anything from your end, and I can't see you at the moment. I'm going to press on with the assumption that you can hear me, and let me know.
You will.
Oh,
can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. That's all right. I just wanted to, I can't see you or hear you at the moment. So I'm going to keep talking to myself, and I'm just going to, fingers crossed, trust that you can hear me very well. Look, I have just joined the team here at HP, actually just around about Christmas time. And I've got two main roles to do within my job here as education ambassador. And that's what brings me to the table today, or the virtual table today, to be able to discuss with you a few different digital pedagogical things. So really, my role here at HP is to champion good digital practice, good digital pedagogy, to be able to provide that thought leadership and that support that wraps around our hardware, so that there is the teaching practice, the learning practice, the support. And thank you, Francisca, for that little text there that you can hear me well. So we've got all of that support that wraps around the hardware. But then also, I want you to pay attention to that concept called Reinvent the Classroom. You can see that little Reinvent the Classroom bit there, because that's a product that I'm helping to bring along onto the market with HP that I think you all will be pretty excited about. It's in the horizon. It's in the future. It's probably about 6 months away. But I'm going to do a presentation now for you, a little bit of some digital pedagogy. I'm going to get you to get your devices out. So if you've got your phone nearby or your laptop, pull them out of your pocket, get ready, and we'll have a little bit of fun and hopefully have an engaging session. And at the ending, I'll talk a little bit about the Reinvent the Classroom. Look, to begin with, I thought you can probably see I've got my beautiful Aboriginal art sitting in behind me. Whenever we gather, especially across education, and we know that this is a big thing within Australia, we acknowledge country. And I know that We are coming from two different lands right now. You guys are a little bit more south than I am. I'm coming at you from Sydney at the moment. I've got the Parramatta River. I'm probably about 500 metres from the edge of the Parramatta River that feeds Sydney Harbour. Now, the Parramatta River itself gets its name from the Barramata or Barramata, the Barramadigal people so matter in local language meaning place of, and para meaning eel. So place of the eel. So any rugby league fans who have seen the Parramatta Eels, that actually they get their mascot, they get their team emblem from the Barramadigal people of the river. I might just bring this up. What I'd love for you to be able to do with your device, if you can just either scan the QR code that I have up there, or maybe just grab your phone and just type up salakas.me/Uluru. It goes to the same device. It goes to the same location. And what I've set up is a little virtual reality link to Uluru. You might have a little on your prompt on your phone. You might have a little thing at the top saying enter VR. So if you enter the VR and move feel free to sort of move your phone around and have a look at Uluru and the beautiful red sands that you have there. Now, I do this because being able to use virtual reality and being able to use our digital technologies and give students experiences, learning experience that would be previously impossible, is exactly what digital pedagogy is about. So I guess a lot of the jobs, a lot of the work of the people who are in the room are to make sure the hardware is right, to make sure the technology is there. And then it's the teacher's job to step in with the technology that's set up and provide those learning experiences that are right. So this is a little tool called 360 Cities, and you can go anywhere in the world. Here we're at Uluru. But I guess I wanted to be able to say, as educators or as people who work in education, I want to acknowledge our First Nations people. I know we're coming from different lands today. I want to acknowledge our First Nations people, but as people who are invested in the education system, we are walking in the footsteps of those First Nations peoples. They were the first teachers on this great land, Australia. They passed knowledge down from generation to generation, and we walk in their footsteps. We join that same path. We are part of that linkage between Australia's heritage. We are passing knowledge on from generation to generation. Now, I know we all work within technology, and it's easy to get caught up in the devices that we have in our hands, but it's that passing on of knowledge, that role that we play that links us to 40,000, 60,000 years of tradition on our land. So, look, I like to weave in technology into a lot of our presentations, so I hope you enjoy that. I'm going to do something a little bit, hopefully fun for you today. I've got a concept, I'm going to just call it 3 for 3. I've got 3 HP tools that I want to show you that you are going to be able to take to your schools, share with your schools and say, hey, I did this great session with Trident. I saw this bloke coming in from Sydney and he gave me some great ideas. You'll be able to share these with your schools, hopefully get a lot of love for it as well. I've got 3 HP and 3, I guess, third-party tools. And you've already seen one, that 360-degree cities. I think it's a great little tool as well. I used to love that Uluru bit that I showed you. I used to go into the kindergarten quite a lot, put on some Indigenous music onto the speaker, have the kids play around with their devices and look at Uluru, sit down and then tell them like a nice Dreamtime story or read a picture book when I would go and visit the kindergarten. I'm a primary school teacher by trade, working in primary education predominantly. Look, I want to move on to these 3 for 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and my ID 1.1 here, and that's the platform that I'm actually showing you now. So I'm using this tool called Prezi Video. You may have heard of Prezi. It's been around for a little while. It's a bit like a PowerPoint. You can make your slide deck and go along. It's pretty interactive. But at the start of the pandemic, they launched a product called Prezi Video, and it becomes very, very easy for teachers just to be able to showcase and zoom in and show their work. You see there, I've got a little snapshot of some work that I was doing with the school at St Mary's at in Erskineville up here in Sydney. But you can easily be able to talk to yourself, have that eye contact, have that interaction like we have now. So in a hybrid sense, in a sense where we need to be delivering content in a more flexible way, being able to engage with the students, being able to have your content present, talk to your content, but keep eye contact with students at the same time is incredibly important. I can tell you now, 26 years ago when I started teaching and there were still chalkboards and I had chalk in my hand, I used to have chalk dust on the side of my pocket. The very first thing you learn when you're a teacher is that when you go to write on the blackboard or whiteboard nowadays, you never actually fully turn your head, because as soon as you take eyes off the kids, they disconnect with you and they start doing all sorts of other things. Now, keeping that principle intact, being able to deliver virtually in a way that you can still keep eyes on students, show the contact, dramatically increases student engagement and dramatically makes your delivery much more effective. A little bit like right now, being able to see you and talk to you, yet not just have the slide completely covering me and not being able to make that eye contact. So Prezi Video, it's a tool a lot of educators would be familiar with, as in the Prezi format, but probably not the Prezi Video. So free tool, free if you keep the watermark like I do. So you can take this back to your schools. It's not going to cost you anything. Nice, easy delivery. But for a subscription, you can get rid of the watermark and pick up a few extra little tools. My ID 1.2. Remember, I said I'm going to do 3 for 3. So I'm going to have one third-party tool and one HP tool, and I'll go in that order. So here's my first HP tool. Now, this is a nice little, I'm going to call it a catch-all. So this is something that HP quietly dropped during the pandemic as well. It's called the HP Online Teacher Assistant. Now, if you've got young teachers or teachers who aren't overly tech savvy, they can go on and use this. Doesn't really matter what platform you have, but it has a whole bunch of how-to videos, a lot of asynchronous work. So if you want to be able to get your teachers and support your teachers in communicating with their students, preparing lessons, assessing work, they can go to the Online Teacher Assistant. You can just Google HP Online Teacher Assistant. The website is pretty easy, hp.com/OTA, Online Teacher Assistant. But it's this whole catalog of resources, a whole catalog of how-to videos, so that if you're in a Google Classroom or if you're a Microsoft Office 365 or you're using Teams, there's a whole bunch of videos. It doesn't really matter what platform you use, but there is a tool, again, a completely free tool. It's not going to cost you anything. It's got a whole bunch of resources there, but you can share that with your staff. I will say it's a safety net. Your advanced teachers, your advanced staff, they're not going to need this. This is for the safety net for the more inexperienced people or the people who are a little bit more nervous and not comfortable with that hybrid learning, that online learning, that really not sure how to maximize that digital pedagogy. My round 2, my ideas, my next round, my second slot. I'm going to show you a tool now called Situ 360. Now, I'm a big fan of, I was going to say AR and VR, but I'm starting to use the term metaverse a lot more, especially now that Facebook has popularized the term meta. But as we start working out how do we teach in the metaverse, we're at the dawn of it now. We already have all of these scenarios. Situ 360, it's an Australian company. It's actually based in Melbourne. A fascinating story of how it came about. But in effect, you stitch 360-degree camera shots or even video. You can stitch them together so you can have a little bubble along, and it makes a little pathway. A little bit like when you're using Google Maps, how you might have one video and you click an arrow, it goes to the next video, click an arrow, goes to the next video. Now, what these guys have done, and like I said, it's a fascinating story. They actually they actually began this program as a high-end real estate walkthrough. So for the high-end real estate market, using 4K video and high-resolution images, so you could have a walkthrough, expensive properties and all that sort of stuff, and then you could have content and information about different things floating within your virtual experience. Now, we could do the same thing. Imagine one of your teachers go on an excursion. Maybe they go up to Parliament House when they're in year 6, they go up to Canberra. You've got a 360-degree camera. You can take some shots along the way of your school going on the excursion. When the kids come back, they actually stitch those shots together, and you can drop in audio for the children being able to summarize what they've learned at each place. You could actually drop in, if you're a teacher, you could drop in your links to any cloud-based resources. So you might have a Google Doc or a OneNote that has a questionnaire for the students to complete, and so they would literally go into this this virtual reality sort of sense, click on the work, and be able to interact with the work that the teacher has set. So very, very flexible tool. There is a cost associated with this one, but to be honest with you, they've actually missed their price point. And it's far cheaper than it should be, which is one of the reasons why I like advocating for it. They're like a great little story. 2 guys who built this, like I said, for the real estate market, and then quickly realized that the links into the education sector were so strong, they've set up a whole education sort of wing or arm of their tool. Now, the second part of my idea, so 2.2, is my HP tool. Now, the HP tool that I want to share with you now is the speaker series. Now, this is something that has been going on for a little while. I wonder, there's every chance that some of you may already be familiar with this. Now, the HP speaker series, it's put out by the Australian HP team. I'll try and get it a little bit bigger so you can see a few of the things here. So there's a couple of different elements to it. So there's the one that would be relevant to us is the future of learning. So the HP speaker series, future of learning. But then there are business series and models and stuff as well. And you can see here that we get a whole bunch of experts, a whole bunch of thought leaders. I could see a few people pointing. Looks like you might recognize a face or two that could be up on the screen. But we get these experts to be able to talk to real issues, real challenges, real-time things, and we've packaged that up rather nicely. It's actually won quite a number of awards for you, for the content that's there. But this, I think, could be quite useful if you have a system in place where you are also trying to get your teachers or get your staff to be a little bit more informed about some of the digital issues, some of the cutting edge talk and debate and content about our digital pedagogy and digital best practice. Feel free to go in here. There's a plethora of videos. Grab something that's topical for your school, grab the link, share that with them on your internal communications network. Or even, some of the videos are quite short. You could, at a staff meeting, if a principal is looking for something to kick off a discussion or kick off a debate, I wouldn't be surprised with a lot of these videos maybe actually have relevance to some of the things that a principal might want to be able to be talking with their staff. So this could be a discussion point, could be a nice way to launch a little bit of a discussion. So again, a completely free service that HP have sitting here that you're able to tap into. Very rich, and yeah, feel free to explore that later when you want to be able to go into it. Our third thing, deep fakes. I did say that I've got a little bit of a passion for exploring the metaverse right now. I want to show you a tool that is quite interesting. It's certainly something that I've been playing with for the last couple of months. And the idea that it actually can help our students from an accessibility point of view. Now, obviously, accessibility, that's one of the great advantages of being able to do things in a technological digital environment, is that we can cater for the needs of our students. So if our student has a challenging language need, hearing need, visual, we're able to do things and deliver things in the right sort of platform to meet the needs of those students. Now, being able to leverage some deep fake stuff actually gives us a chance for students who may not normally be confident to speak and present, maybe people who are non-verbal, students who perhaps are autistic, or students who perhaps are rather shy, or if you have any students at your schools that may not be, maybe new arrivals to Australia, especially now that the borders are opening up and we can start having international students coming into Australia again. This tool here, Synthesia, allows students who normally would not be able to verbally communicate actually present in a short, sharp, articulate way. You literally just grab your text, you put your text into the little text box, you select the fake person that you want to be able to talk to. You can actually pick language, you can pick accent, you can pick the background, and they'll talk to you. Just to give you a bit of an example, if you grab your phone again, and I can see a few people who are a little bit like me already started picking up their phones and having a look at Synthesia. But this is a little bit of a taste, a little bit of an example. This is something took me about 30 seconds to make, and again, completely free for the short version. Salakas.me/deepfake. Have a go at it. tell me what you think. But I'll give you a moment to have a look at that little website. Hopefully you can see that little fake lady there. Her name's Anna. Hopefully Anna is asking you or talking to you and inquiring about if you're enjoying the presentation so far and actually getting a little bit out of it. So really what I wanted to do today was show you a whole range of digital tools, very simple to use, either free or very near to being free, so that you can showcase back to your schools and blow some people's minds and have that real wow factor. Now, the deepfake that I use, because it's only a short, like if you want to get the 30-second sort of grab, it costs nothing. If you want to be able to choose a range of different AI presenters to speak, or if you want them to talk for a lot longer, there is a subscription-based service. So if you were going to do this with students, you'd probably do that subscription. But it's quite nice to be able to grab that short, sharp one. And like I said, I know one of the greatest challenges I had, certainly within a leadership role, is advocating. My second last school that I worked in, we had quite a number of non-verbal students and autistic students who really did not want to or struggled to be able to participate in our oral presentations and speaking and listening type of activities. So I was always on the hunt for technology that could support those students so that they could communicate just as effectively as everybody else. And as soon as I saw this type of technology, I thought, you know what, this is what I'd be tempted to try out with my students to see how effective it would be in them being able to effectively communicate their learning within the classroom environment. Now, the last tool that I want to show you is something that you may have been asked to do a little bit of homework about. So this is a brand new tool that's only about a week old, and it's called HP Reflect. Now, I will say the teacher in me did cringe at the misspelling of the word reflect. It is missing that extra E there at the ending. I did go, oh! But if I can get over Weet-Bix being spelt wrong, I think I can get over reflect being spelt wrong. I guess it's a little bit edgy. The marketing team a little bit more millennial with the presentation there. But the HP Reflect tool is an opportunity to pause. There are 8 questions in 4 different categories, and it makes a graphical representation of your well-being. So this is actually mine from about 2 days ago when I last did this. It's a graphical representation of your well-being. So the gold part in the middle, the gold that you can see nice and thick, that's your connectivity. How much are you doing online? So the bigger and thicker and more gold, that's the amount of online work that you're doing. A nice thin gold one would be you're not actually online all that much. You can see I'm doing a lot of my work online at the moment. The little blue sticks, which are a little bit hard to make out because I've got so much gold, the little blue sticks, the more uniform, pardon me, the more uniform and more tightly knit the sticks are, that represents how effective your productivity has been. So if you're a bit scattered and the sticks are everywhere, you haven't been overly productive. If your sticks are nice and neat and tightly woven, that's a representation that you're being very, very productive. The green ball that's in the middle, that's a representation of your mental health, your well-being, how you're feeling at the moment. A big, thick, solid green ball means you're feeling pretty good. I'm a pretty positive person. Mine's pretty thick. If it's thin, that means maybe that person's not in the best headspace. The big part that happens with this tool is the conversation that happens afterwards. So it's not so much, well, obviously it was developed with a psychologist, but it is about your personal reflection. But certainly for me, I've been having this on my background when I'm diving into Zoom meetings and Teams meetings, etc. And because it's quite visually startling, it's prompted a whole bunch of conversations. So it's the conversation about someone's well-being, not so much being able to fully interpret the visual representation, but that prompt to ask someone how they're doing, that prompt to say, hey, it looks like you're struggling a little bit today, or how are you going, or not being too effective, or especially if you notice the green one, if the green one's looking a little bit lean, if the green ball is looking a little bit anemic, checking in on someone to see how they're feeling, I guess is all about building that community, about building that well-being, that sense of well-being that the organization actually cares about you. So perhaps bringing something like that in as an activity at your school could be of value. Look, that's actually all of my slides.